pacing feels really good. They seem to get you in really, really quickly.
Because nobody else is there.
I was gonna say they're so happy to have customers. They're like, yes, please come in.
Hey y'all, it's LJ here, owner and founder of Smart Moms Plan Disney and Smart Moms Travel. We are so glad you're here for another episode of the Smart Moms Plan Disney podcast. Now, here's your host, Allie.
Hey there, everyone. Welcome back to another episode of the Smart Moms Plan Disney podcast. I'm your host, Allie, and today I am here with Becki and Stacy. Hi, guys.
Hello.
Hi.
And we are ready. It is morning. I am actually hungry. I have not eaten breakfast. And today we are going to be talking about Hollywood Studios table service restaurants. I'm excited because we already talked about Magic Kingdom on a previous episode, and we're obviously going to do this in a series and hit all 4 parks. But I think Hollywood Studios has a lot of good conversation to be had about the dining options, the food there. And if you didn't catch that episode, it's going to be a good one to go listen back to when we talked about Magic Kingdom, because we're going to break it down in a really fun formula, give it a report card, give these restaurants a grade, and ultimately determine what we think is the most well-rounded and best sit-down dining option in Hollywood Studios. But before we do, we record these podcasts pretty much right after I get my kids on the bus. And I'm just in that stage of life where it is stressful. Mornings before school are stressful, right? And it got me thinking, the reason I feel that stress every morning is because my kids can tend to be really slow. It's like, put on your shoes, and they do, but they're doing it very slowly. Go brush your teeth, and they do, but it's like a 15-minute process, and so we have to be really thinking ahead. I think just slowness in general, I need to get a better hold on my patience with slowness, because some people are just slower, right? And I'm like constantly torn at this point with, do I just need to embrace their slowness and cushion in more time and let them smell the roses? Or like, are they too slow? And at this point, it's a problem. Yeah.
Hearing you say this, as my adult children are, and thinking back to when they were children, they don't change. I hate to tell you, they don't change. My slow pokes in childhood are my slow pokes as adults. Shout out to Harris Ann. We love you, baby.
Yeah, because I feel like this is my biggest pet peeve in life. And is this a lesson I should be learning? Like, just embrace people's slowness? Am I just expecting people to move too quickly? When we get home, wherever we are, we pull in the driveway. I open the door for my kids and I, help them out of the car. They usually have a lot of things. It's gotten to the point though, where we pull in, nobody even unbuckles. Like, we've pulled in, we're home. Like, the next step, you guys, is unbuckle and open your door. But no, everybody just sits there. And I'm like, guys, we're home. Nobody moves. It's gotten to the point where I'm just like, I'm leaving. Come on in whenever you're ready. Like, stay buckled.
And the way with kids with phones now, it's even worse. So my kids as adults, we'll watch them, everybody's on Life 360. So we know, and of course you can hear them when they drive up and they're sitting in the driveway, and they will sit and they will sit and they will sit forever and ever and ever. I don't know if they're listening to songs. I don't know if they're texting. I don't know if they're on a call with somebody. I don't know, but they're sitting there forever. And honestly, I have to say that both being slow and taking forever to get out of your car are things I am also guilty of. So I hear my family, if they're listening to this right now, they're yelling at me like, Mom, you're the worst of all of us. So
I think that it has to be like a meet in the middle, though. You want them to move faster and they want you to like slow down. Both parties need to like meet in the middle or something. And maybe that's just the peacekeeper in me. But when we moved to Florida in 2019, I have never heard so much honking in my life. Not like city honking. Like, if you're in New York, you're going to hear honking. But we live in the suburbs. We have minimal number of traffic lights. And if you are not moving when that light turns green, they are going to honk at you. And I'm just like, can I have even 1 second before you honk? I don't know. Patience is definitely, I feel like I'm just kind of a go with the flow person. And so, you want to merge in front of me? Sure, go ahead and merge. I'm probably the slow kid. I was probably that kid to my mom. My mom was probably like, come on, Becki, put your shoes on. Let's go. I have one too. Macy is my go at her own speed person.
What if I have 3? Like, it's 3 for 3. I don't know. I'm doing some self-reflection here. I'm trying to figure out, is this me with unrealistic expectations? Is this a normal thing? Are they just doing it to annoy me? Like, because they know it's bothering me? What are the chances that all three of them would just be slower? Like, it's probably they're teaming up and ganging up on me, and they're like, we can really push mom's buttons here.
So, do they have the competitive streak that you have where you might could make it some type of a game where they're racing to hurry up? I mean, like, is that an angle you might could approach with them?
We did. We tried that. And then I noticed some not good competition coming out. And I was like, you guys, like getting ready shouldn't be a competition. And then I'm like, this was totally my fault. And so I have totally backtracked and I've told them that getting ready is not a competition. This is all on me and my wife here. This is what I'm learning in this therapy session is that this is our fault.
Okay, but hear me out. Our kids are really close. Like Macy and McKenna are 19 months apart, and then Laker's two years behind. So Macy was only 3 when Laker was born. And so we had 3 kids, 3 and under. And trying to get 3 littles to do anything fast is the hardest thing that a mom can go through. I remember specifically going to on our annual trip to our timeshare in Park City, and they would want to swim 24/7, and getting them out of the pool was the hardest thing. And so we started giving them points, and the points had no value. But they were gaining these points, and I don't know how on earth we retrained them, but those points added up and they thought they were going to get some sort of like magical thing with it. And they still to this day are like, Mom, when are you going to pay us for those points we earned when we were little?
My kids would, I feel like, catch on right away. They'd be like, I have 1,000 points and nothing to show for it. I'm done. And now I'm moving extra slow. Well, I'm actually relieved to hear that y'all have experienced this as well, because I've even started setting my alarm. Like if we just get up 10 minutes earlier, maybe we won't be running out of the house to the bus stop, but somehow it's a marathon every day. We're getting our daily exercise in every day to the bus. Well, okay. So we ran to the bus. I ran here. Now we're doing this. I love doing this with y'all. And I cannot wait to talk about food. And, talking about food or thinking about food, you know how they tell you don't go to the grocery store while you're hungry because you just do all these like impulse buys? Have you guys ever heard that where they're like, don't grocery shop hungry? Because then you're just like,
and it's so true.
Yeah, you're just like walking with your hand on the shelf, like shoveling it all into your cart. That's how I feel today talking about these restaurants. They're going to get like bonus points for me just because I'm hungry. And so I'm going to be thinking about eating all of it. But Hollywood Studios, I have a lot of opinions on a lot of things, I feel like, but I really feel strongly about a lot of these restaurants here. And I can't wait to hear what y'all think. We're going to be doing this, breaking it down just the exact same way as we did with Magic Kingdom. I can't wait to grade them, have a report card, and ultimately figure out what's best. And we will dive in and talk through it after this quick break. This episode of the Smart Moms Plan Disney podcast is brought to you by BabyQuip, the #1 baby gear rental service across the US, Canada, and beyond. There is nothing more difficult for my family with 3 young kiddos than when we are traveling. We're just out of rhythm without our things. We just feel out of step and our kids feel off. It can make our vacation feel so much more stressful than it needs to. With a wide range of baby and toddler equipment available, including cribs, strollers, car seats, toys, and more, BabyQuip helps give us some of that normalcy that our kids crave and we need as parents when we are away from home. When they're happy, we're happy. And by using local quality providers that are often moms, dads, and grandparents just like us and you smarties that are listening today, BabyQuip makes sure that you are working with somebody who understands the needs of your family firsthand. If you need it, they have it. All products follow strict cleanliness and safety protocols and are also insured to give you that extra peace of mind that you need to really enjoy your vacation. With convenient delivery to your location, whether it's a home, a hotel, a vacation rental, wherever you're calling, home away from home, they've got you covered. BabyQuip is available in over 1,500 cities, making it accessible. So whether you're heading to Disney World, Disneyland, or another travel destination, BabyQuip will be there for you. With their easy-to-use online platform, you don't have to stress about getting your products. Head to babyquip.com. Use code SMPOD, that's SMPOD, to get $30 off of any order of $150 or more. That's babyquip.com. Pack light, travel happy. All right. I can't wait to grade these restaurants. So for those of you that have not yet heard the Magic Kingdom table service episode, or even if you have and you forget, let's go through the categories here that each restaurant will be able to earn a star. We're going to give each restaurant a star, like a Michelin star in each category. And then Becki, how do those star values play out? So if a restaurant gets 5 stars, what does that mean?
We are having 6 categories here. Really, it's out of 5. 5 is the goal. So a 5-star would be an A. if we get an extra category for that extra spark, that would be an A plus. So really think about this in terms of 1 star, 2 stars, 3 stars, 4 stars, 5 stars would be F, D, and so on up till an A. So if we have the A at a 5 star restaurant, an A plus is the cream of the crop restaurants. That would be 6 out of all available stars. So shining star restaurants.
Exactly. So they're going to have the opportunity to earn a star in each of these categories. We are going to be looking at, is the restaurant Remy approved? That's going to be our magnifying glass examination into the menu and the variety offered at the restaurant. Tiana approved. That's going to be the quality. So we know what your menu items are. We know if it looks great on paper, but how does it taste once you actually get the food? That's Tiana approved. Edna approved. So much of Disney World is about the theming and the magic and the immersion. I like that to carry all the way through into the restaurant experiences. And sometimes it does, and sometimes it misses the mark. So Edna Mode approved is going to be that theming category of a particular restaurant. Boo approved. That's going to be, how kid friendly is this restaurant? Are my kids going to be happy here? Are they going to sit through the meal? Are we going to enjoy ourselves because the kids are? Cinderella approved is going to be the length and pacing of the meal. Some meals can get to be very long. Some are very fast. We will talk that through and give a star under Cinderella approval for that. And then Lumiere approved is that extra spark. Does this restaurant have something extra that we can consider that gives it that extra spark? It levels it up a little bit more from the other ones. All right. This is great. Cannot wait. Are y'all ready to dive in?
Oh, yeah.
So excited.
Okay, we're going to start with one that I have great nostalgia for. 50's Primetime Cafe. This is the restaurant that my family went to growing up every single time. I mean, if we were going to Disney World, we were going to 50's Primetime Cafe. This restaurant lived in the MGM days of Disney World. Now it is in Hollywood Studios. And if you went to Disney World years and years and years ago, you know the MGM reference. And this restaurant has really stood the test of time there in that park. The vibe there is a 50s kitchen. You know, you're in your kitchen at home with your family, but it's in the 1950s. So very Leave It to Beaver. Let's just dive in here. Let's talk about Remy approval, the menu and the variety offered here. What do we think? Stacy, I want your opinion here.
I really love this little restaurant. To me, this is the happy food that you need sometimes, right? It's that feel good food. It's that fried chicken and mashed potatoes food. And hey, this really may show my southernness is why I like it so much. I don't know. One of the things is like cornbread. I mean, it's so good. I know that this is probably not the fanciest of meals, and some people, I have heard criticisms about this restaurant. I don't have those criticisms. I think it's very yummy. It's a nice hearty meal. It's fun. Well, we're not talking fun yet, but the food is fun to me. I'm a salty food person. I like the savory foods, and particularly at Disney World, I tend to be drawn to that probably because of how much we sweat and lose a lot of salt. I feel like I want that, and this food feels very happy to me. That's just the best way I can say it.
I love the options that we have here because it feels like I'm sitting at my grandma's table. And my grandma had like 4 rotations of things she would feed us. It was like, you're having chicken, you're having pot roast, you're having meatloaf. Like she had set go-to things. And this just feels like my grandma made it. And what else I love about this restaurant is it feels like family time. Like it doesn't feel like you have to be quiet. It feels like you get to like have good, raw conversation, kind of joke around with each other. It's great.
I have an issue with this menu that I want to talk through because we are talking Remy approval here with menu specifically. I love the food options here. This is like the type of, 50s kitchen is food that I like, right? Mashed potatoes, green beans, and fried chicken is in my palate. It is not in Zan's. She doesn't like chicken pot pie. She doesn't like fried chicken. Green beans and corn are not her go-to vegetables. So she has a really hard time finding something on this menu to like suit her palate. There's not a huge stray away variety there, and she usually will get just like a red sauce spaghetti. And to be honest, that feels like the thing they threw on their menu just to have an option for somebody like Zan. I don't know if I can hold that against them though, because their menu is very specific to what they're doing, and to add something different variety wise that might suit Xandra more, it might take away from the experience, right? Because you don't want to add something that wouldn't have been in a 50s kitchen. So I don't necessarily want to hold that against them, but I do wonder, do you think that that matters? Are we okay to just give it this?
Is she happy with the desserts? Because I really didn't go there with that. Like the dessert option is pretty varied. I feel like if you push through the entrees, that maybe you can go like, well, I get to win here in the end because there's so many things to choose from and such a variety of things with desserts. Does that help her out at all?
Yeah, they have great ice cream and shakes and things. And she does, yeah. I mean, we all do eat. Again, chicken pot pie and fried chicken is, I would order that anywhere, not just here. I don't want to hold it against them that she has a hard time finding something on the menu because I think the menu does a good job being what it's supposed to be. And so I'm inclined to give it the Remy approval, but I think it's important to say that. So anybody considering this restaurant does look at the menu and just is aware that like 50s kitchen, mom would have cooked in the kitchen in the 50s is what is being served up here.
And it does have a lot of options for appetizers as well. And so I think if you were having a hard time with the main entrees, and these portions are very generous, I think you could easily do an app and a dessert and walk away feeling satisfied.
Yeah. I mean, we've just done like a plate of onion rings, I think it was. You know what I mean? And that's fine. So I don't want to take a star away. I think it gets it. It does a good job being what it is. And so I'm happy with that as long as we made a point to talk about it.
And it does have a salad option. It has a chicken option. It has a beef option. I mean, it has a fish option. I mean, I say yes, we definitely, it's Remy approved, I believe.
Yeah. Okay. Now, what about Tiana approved? What's the quality when you get it? When it comes, you order it, it sounds great, comes to you. How is it?
I personally really like it, but I think it's going to depend on if you're liking that feels like home food. Like it doesn't feel like you're eating a fancy meal out. It feels like mom went to the kitchen and made dinner for the family and put it on a plate and here you go. I remember specifically I had there's like one that has all of it. It has like the pot roast, it has the chicken, it has the meatloaf. You can sample all of them. I don't know. I'm thinking like Olive Garden trio kind of thing.
Yeah, the tour of Italy, the tour of mom's kitchen.
Mom's kitchen, the tour of
Yeah, the
mom's
tour of mom's
kitchen.
kitchen.
And I remember loving pretty much all of it. My chicken was crisp and super juicy. I had no qualms, and everybody in my family, except for Sean for theming, which we can talk about in a minute. The food always a hit there.
I'm very torn here. I am okay with what you just said. I remember a little bit of disappointment when I was eating this food. The mashed potatoes really didn't feel homemade. If I'm talking about fried chicken, I think Olivia's Cafe and Chef Art Smith at Disney Springs are going to win on the fried chicken battle. So it's not even the best fried chicken on property. And I usually will get that dish or the chicken pot pie, which is why I keep mentioning them. The spaghetti that Zan got, it was like a sad display of watered down tomato sauce. I mean, it was not good. It really looked bad. And so I'm very conflicted because I think it's definitely edible. It's good. It's not great. I think it's good, not great.
I think that's a fair description of it. I think realistically, thinking back on our experience, the atmosphere is what we walk away with. And honestly, the desserts. The desserts is like what sets the tone to be walking out and feeling happy because you just had this massive shake.
How difficult or how hard are we going to scrutinize these restaurants? Because if there are two places on property that do the prime dish better, can it really get Tiana's approval?
I don't know. Stacy, what's your thoughts?
I say yes. I think this food is well done. I don't have any qualms with it. I don't have any problems recommending it to someone. I know some people do not like it, but I can't find what I would say is not done well enough to not get Tiana's approval.
Okay. I mean, again, this is one of those things where I'm okay with it, but I need to say it's good, not great. And some other places on property will do some of these dishes better.
That's fair.
That's fair.
All right. All right. Well, I will reluctantly give it for y'all, but I've said my piece. Okay. Edna Mode theming. This restaurant, the reason we go, number one, that nostalgia I mentioned at the top, but also the theming. My goodness. This is, you walk into the 50s, the lobby of this restaurant when you are waiting to be called back to your table. It's like a living room, a 50s living room. Nailed it. They just did so great. And then there are like 12 different kitchens, or probably more, honestly, that you can be seated in. And all of the kitchens are themed differently. All the kitchen tables are different. And there are these vintage 50s TVs playing black and white TV shows that you would have watched back then with no volume, so they're not super distracting. It's just a cool thing in the background. To be seated in a different kitchen every time, to really feel transported. Have you guys been to those restaurants where they intentionally give you a hard time?
Mhm. Yes, this is why Sean struggles with this particular restaurant. Is he does not want his uncle to be telling him he needs to eat his greens. He does
Yeah.
not want that.
And they do, the servers do act like that. They encourage you very forcefully to finish your vegetables. They encourage the clean plate club, and you even get a sticker for that. It's like no dessert unless you take, I mean, this is my son's worst nightmare. He has like a stranger holding ice cream over his head until he eats a green bean. But for me, I love it. I love feeling transported. I think this restaurant has stood the test of time at Disney World because it does such a good job with that.
Wow, are we having a generation come through that did not live this grandma's house, and it's gonna feel uncomfortable to them? Like, is that where we're headed
Yeah.
into the future? They don't even recognize the nostalgia of it because the
Hmm.
generations have changed. Oh my goodness, I hadn't even thought about that. But yeah, I think it's so super fun. And y'all, my granny and pawpaw had a tiny TV on their kitchen table. Like, it is so much like walking into my granny and pawpaw's house that I love it. I just absolutely love it. I think it's super fun. This concept of your servers being kind of get your elbows off the table and finish your
Yeah.
veggies. And, it seems, and this may just really show my age, we're like, we were tougher when we were younger. Like that was just such real life for us. And so,
Mm.
don't be afraid of it. It's still a Disney version of it. It's still really fun and done with humor. They're not going to make you cry. But although, and I don't think we should give this spoiler, but if you do not eat your vegetables, there is a little consequence to that. And I really did think my son was going to cry when that happened to him because we're not going to, I don't think we should spoil that. I think there's
No.
enough people who know already. It's really funny. But yeah, I think the theming here is super fun, really great. And you know what? Maybe we are going to have a generation that doesn't recognize this. So you absolutely should take your young children so they can know some history, right? You need to know how it used to be.
Yeah.
In reality, though, do kids know what having a TV on their kitchen table looks like? It's their cell phone. They all have their cell
Right.
phones sitting there. And in fact, in the olden days, if we were to say the olden days when we had a TV sitting on our table, like how often are kids getting yelled at for having a TV? Get your phone out of your face. You don't need to have
Right.
media in front of you. Like
Yeah, it's so
so
Yeah,
different.
generational,
yeah.
two different things.
It's
Yep.
so different, and it's exactly why I love it. I mean, and
Yes.
it
Okay.
hits my dad's era like perfectly, like when he was born and then being like a Leave It to Beaver age in the 50s, And so I think that's why it always meant a lot to him to get to take. And now as I'm thinking about it, I wonder how he would get that dining reservation because it was, in the 90s, it wasn't 60-day ADRs online, So I wonder if he called or if it was walk up. I don't know, but we always went. Yeah, I think it gets that star for sure. Look how long we're talking about it. We like it. And it is a hit or miss type experience. It's not going to be for everyone, but I think everybody can find the joy in there. Boo, kid friendly. I mean, we've talked at length already about the milkshakes.
That's true.
I mean, what else do you need? Full immersion, kids. Stacey, you brought up a good point about kids maybe not understanding, so they don't feel as excited about it. Are they going to be as excited to eat here as another restaurant that might have more relatable?
I would actually say of the people in our family, it's always the older people in our family that want to do 50s and not so much our kids.
Yeah, okay. So what do you think? I mean, I think it's kid approved, Boo approval. I think she would approve it. I'm torn here once again, but I do think so.
I'm good either way. I could see an argument for both sides.
I
I
can't
really am.
imagine telling somebody not to take their kiddo there.
Right. No, and a Boo will approve. She may not she may not make it her first choice, but she's going to approve, right?
Mhm.
She will be happy there. I think it's good.
Okay. Length and pacing.
This is so hit or miss, right? I have been one time where it was really great and we had fantastic service and it was pretty fast paced and we ate and we enjoyed and we left. And I've had another time where it was a lot slower. I'm sure some staffing issues kind of could be a thing. You never know, something might have happened in the kitchen to make it slower. I did have one that was really slow. So,
It's always been slower for me as well. Like, I don't know what it is. It's a
yeah,
slower,
yeah.
in my opinion.
Yeah. Do you think it's too slow?
I don't know.
You think it's slower, but is it too slow? I mean, this doesn't strike me as an experience where you're there forever. Like, I don't ever remember being like,
No,
we're here, I want to go.
the one where I was, the one that was slow, I did have that feeling. I did
You
have like,
did.
come on, we want to get out of here.
Okay,
But
so
I do think it was more of I think it was more of a one-time thing versus the regular. But you know,
Becky, I'm gonna let you be
I
the
feel like I was waiting on a check multiple times. Like
okay.
I feel like the pace of it kind of feels like I'm waiting for my grandma to be ready. I don't know. I don't know.
Okay, maybe a little long. And then what about Lumiere Extra Spark? I think the servers being in character as a cast member gives it that spark personally.
Yeah, the full immersion in there is on point. But it does have an extra spark because I just remembered that there's a lounge attached to this restaurant that is amazing. It might be one of my very favorite, it might be my very favorite lounge
Hmm.
actually. The bar is so fun. It sticks with that same like living room theming with the old TVs and places to sit. You can stand at the bar. It's small, but I really do love
I
this
love
lounge.
it. I agree. It's, I think, maybe my favorite on property. And I think a lot of people don't know about it. It's easy to miss. It's like kind of incognito because if you don't have a reservation, you're probably just walking by. Do not sleep on that lounge. If lounges and bars are like your thing and you want to explore them, it's a great one.
It's called Tune In Lounge, and it is that exact same theming, but just the bar side of it. It's perfect.
Yeah, it's great. So you can get this restaurant, like all of the restaurants, in a Phantasmic dining package. I think it's important we mention that on this show because Phantasmic dining packages are a way to get better seating at Phantasmic. Not maybe not Roundup Rodeo.
yeah, I don't know that
Is
it
that
is.
included? I think the rest of them are. So that's a great way to see that show. Okay, so that's gonna give 5 out of 6 stars, which is an A.
Feels right.
Good. Yeah, good job, 50s prime time. Okay. All right, that's gonna bring us to Hollywood and Vine. This is kind of two restaurants in one. We're going to talk about it on our ranking episode. We did this kind of twice for the character meals because there's different character experiences that you can have here. We're just going to talk about this once here on this episode, Hollywood and Vine as the restaurant. This is a buffet right by 50's Primetime Cafe. And it's very unique because it is a character meal all day, but the characters change. Is this the only restaurant where that happens on property?
As far as having two different character meals, yes, there are some restaurants that are character meal for part of the day and then non-character for the rest of the day.
Right. That's I feel like that's most character meals.
Yeah, I think that this is the exception.
Yeah, this is cool because you can get two experience. You could even eat there twice and get two experiences like in one day. So in the morning, Hollywood and Vine is a Disney Junior character meal, and in the afternoon and evening, it is Minnie's seasonal dine. So the characters do like change costumes, which is really cool. This is a buffet. So menu is really interesting when you're talking about a buffet. So when you're thinking about the selections along the buffet at Hollywood and Vine, what are your immediate thoughts, Becky?
I think that the variety on this buffet are good. I don't think it's the best variety or the best buffet on property, but I know that they have things that hit every piece. You're going to have plant-based things, you're going to have fish and chicken, and you're going to have typical buffet food, whether you're there for breakfast or lunch or dinner. I think a buffet is going to be able to find something for everybody.
Exactly. I think this definitely is Remy approved. There are lots of things, and not just standard fare. They do have some kind of slightly specialty items available. So I think it's definitely Remy approved.
Yeah, I think so too. Buffet just I think is almost an automatic Remy approval because it gives you a wide range. Everybody can just kind of grab what they want. You can go back and try something else. So I think just being a buffet kind of gives it that edge to immediately give it that. But what about Tiana? Once you get the food, how is it? Because I think it's really subpar.
I agree on that. I think that breakfast is a good piece. I think pretty much you have to try really hard to mess up breakfast.
Yeah.
But as far as lunch and dinner goes, it's just buffet food. I don't think that it feels like you're walking out feeling like the food was the highlight of your meal.
Yeah, and I also just I don't know, it's like hearty food too. It's like turkey and shrimp. There's like peel and eat shrimp, you know what I mean? I don't, and but then there's also like crispy Asian tofu. It's a really weird spread,
Hmm.
which maybe that's good, but also then the vibe of the restaurant is kind of giving diner,
Yeah.
like old diner. And I don't know. I don't want shrimp at a diner personally. I don't know.
Yeah. Kind of a lost identity.
Right. Probably food quality. I would say the same thing. It does have a feeling more of what a buffet feels like, where you're like, oh, this is open and food been sitting here a while kind of feel, versus some others don't feel that way, feel a little more cozy. And does that make sense? Like it feels, because it's that diner feel, it seems like a
Like it's
cafeteria almost.
like it's been
You
sitting
know?
under the warming lamp for too
Yes.
long.
Yeah, it has a little bit more of that feel to it, which may not actually be the case. But yeah, I think if we're gonna knock a point off anywhere, this could be where it loses.
Yeah. I don't think it gets it. I don't think it's nailing it. It's not anything spectacular. And if you're going to do a buffet, you have to try really hard to get that Tiana approval. And there are places on property that get it. This isn't it.
Yep.
Okay, Edna Mode. Becki, you already used the words lost identity. So I feel that with this. I feel it has that. Before you answer to that, do you think the fact that it's two different character meals in one and then it switches, do you think that that helps it, or do you think that actually hurts it? Because then it's like, what is the theming that's bringing these characters to us? Or are they just thrown in there so we have a character meal at Hollywood Studios?
Honestly, if we're talking about the restaurant, I don't feel like the restaurant itself has a great theme. Like, I feel like it is leaning into that diner vibe, but I almost get a better diner vibe from other places in this park. The theming in the morning is Disney Junior, which is great for littles. If you're a Disney Junior family, like, yes. The afternoon and evening is seasonal Minnie and Friends. So you're going to get Halloween around Halloween, Christmas around Christmas. It's going to be leaning into whatever the theme of that season is. So for the character piece of it, I think it's separating the conversation. And we've heard this feedback in our Facebook group, actually. And maybe it even came up in our Patreon about how this conversation has been helpful because we're talking not about this as a character meal, we're talking about it as a restaurant. And if we're not leaning into the fact that the characters themselves are themed well for breakfast, lunch, and dinner, I don't think that the theming's really there for the restaurant itself.
I completely think that that's fair. I agree with that assessment. The theming of the restaurant itself is just random diner. And I'm not really positive how that fits with Hollywood, like I don't know. Cause
Yeah, I was like, I've not ever been to Hollywood and Vine in California. Like, I don't know, is there a diner at that
I
corner? I
have.
don't have you? Okay, is there
I
a diner there?
have.
Is that why it's like this? I don't know.
There are definitely diners like this in Hollywood, but I don't know that that's I don't know. It just kind of feels like what Hollywood Studios is, it can be done really well, and I just don't feel like anything but the characters are giving the theme that stands out.
yeah, okay. I don't think it gets it. Boo approval. Yes, it does. Kids can be picky. They can grab what they want on the buffet and they can see their characters, especially your little boos who get this is the Disney Junior touch. Although we've talked a little bit about the show, I don't know how important Disney Junior is today as it was even, 9 years ago when my oldest was a baby. It was very important back then. I don't know if it still is, like with different streaming services and things.
I think that it is, but I don't think Disney's made the shift here. They're missing the mark because of the characters that are there. They aren't the spider guys or the little Spider-Man people, right? They're not Bluey. They're not.
Yeah, and it can't be
The
Bluey.
characters are
Yeah.
dated.
The characters are dated. I don't think the kiddo's going. No, Doc McStuffins. Is she still there? Fancy Nancy was there. Sophia was there. I don't know if they're still there, but I know that they've been in rotation recently, and I just don't think that kids know them.
Right.
And we've talked about that here on the show. I do still think characters are characters and it's fun, and I do think that a buffet character meal is kid approved.
Absolutely. Absolutely.
Okay.
And on the Cinderella piece on pacing, it's the same thing. It's not as big as, say, Crystal Palace, where they struggle to get the characters around to you. I feel like it's buffet. Go as fast as you want, as slow as you want, and the characters all seem to make a good pace around.
I think with most character meals, and correct me if I'm wrong here, this is not like real knowledge. This is more of my feeling. I feel like at character meals, the characters try to make it to you within an hour. Like I feel like in an hour, they're supposed to be surveying the whole restaurant, and so it keeps that pacing really nice. Is kind of how I've always felt.
I would say I don't know that that's official Disney knowledge, but
No,
I
I
would
don't
say
think it
that
is. Yeah.
that feels accurate to my experience as well.
Yeah. Okay. So I think it gets that pacing. And then the fact that it changes characters, I feel like we're beating that point dead, and we already gave it credit for that on Boo. Does it also get credit for that on Lumiere? Like, is that an extra spark?
The only thing that I think it holds for an extra spark that may or may not be worth it is the fact that it is rotational, seasonal offerings. Like it's the place that if you wanted to have a Halloween themed meal, this is it. It's the place that if you wanted to have a Christmas themed meal, this is it.
Okay.
You're not going to get those characters dressed in that way, really, without going to a party otherwise.
Okay. Stacy, what do you think?
Mm. What you're saying is true. I just don't know that it's strong enough to actually earn a credit in this. I
Yeah,
don't know. I mean, it's true, but it's not so spectacular that it feels super Lumiere shiny, you know? I don't know.
I agree. I agree with that. So I'm not going to give it the star, which is going to leave Hollywood and Vine with 3 stars. And that is what grade, Becky?
See?
That's a C. Yeah.
That
So
sounds right.
that lands. Yeah, I think that tracks. And that's going to bring us straight into Melrose's Ristorante Italiano. Mama Melrose, Italian food at Hollywood Studios. Who likes this restaurant? Which one of you loves this?
Nope.
Oh boy.
Ugh.
Nope. This is a miss.
You know what I want to preface is that I think a lot of the food, and I said at the top of the show, I have a lot of opinions on Hollywood Studios. I just think a lot of the food at Hollywood Studios does miss the mark, which is why I'm glad we're breaking this down in such an in-depth way to be like, hey, where you lose points here, you might gain them here. But I'm worried for Mama Melrose right now.
It feels like a little bit of the same conversation that we had about Tony's. Like it's Italian food, it's doing its thing. But is it the best Italian food has to offer? I don't think so. There's a lot of conversation to have around Mama Melrose, but it was the last one for me to try of all of the restaurants in Hollywood Studios. I've tried it twice and both times walked away feeling like it wasn't it.
Yeah, the menu, when I know that other Italian exists on property that's legit delicious, I definitely don't want an Italian meal here in Hollywood Studios. Like, I even think, well, and we're going to get to theming, but like, I just think everything about this cheapens the Italian experience. The menu is fine. You know, the menu is an Italian menu, right?
It is. And as I'm looking at it, there's steak, there's shrimp,
Mhm.
shrimp Alfredo. There's a good variety. There's pizza.
Marinated olives. Yeah. Like, I think the menu's fine.
The menu's fine. Yeah.
Yeah, I think the
Yeah.
menu gets a star because they did, I think, take into account a lot of Italian palate preferences, you know, different things you can try. And like those olives I was just talking about, that's really not for me, but like a lot of people in my family really love that idea. And so having it as an option on the menu is unique and cool. And
And tiramisu.
Mhm.
If you're going to offer me tiramisu, the menu's good for me.
Yeah, I agree. So it's going to get a star for menu, but is it going to get a star for the quality once you order off that menu?
So I have to confess here, I've not eaten here, but I think it's fair for me to rate this that the reason I haven't is because the reputation for this restaurant precedes itself. And I've heard enough people who I respect not really like this food. And so I haven't tried it for many of the things you've said. Like if I'm going to do Italian, I'm going to go somewhere else. And I've just heard enough that this is not strong enough. I don't think that it's going to hit Tiana's. It just doesn't seem that way.
I agree.
Mm-mm. Yeah, it doesn't. It's not. If you can go to Trattoria El Forno, which is really close to Hollywood Studios, like you can get to the boardwalk just by taking a friendship boat and like leave the park for a minute. If you really want Italian, that's going to be my advice. Don't eat this Italian over that. It's like a this or that type thing, and it's not that,
Yeah.
or it's not this. Yeah,
If that's the situation, then Trattoria wins every single argument.
yeah, I agree. Edna Mode theming.
No.
I do not like the interior of this restaurant. I just think it, like I said, Pizza Hut is a national chain, right? Like it's not local
Yeah.
here. Okay.
Yeah.
You guys,
Yeah.
have you been like in a Pizza Hut and you have those like red fake leather booths? Like,
Yes.
Yes.
this feels like a Pizza Hut to me.
It does. It also feels like it's kind of a carryover from what's the pizzerizzo or something? The
Yeah.
quick
Yeah,
service,
it's
right?
right there.
It
Yeah.
kind of feels like an extension of that. It's just it doesn't feel Disney. And I don't know if it's supposed to be leaning into the Muppets, maybe. I don't know if that's actually a real thing, but the Muppets is over in that area. It just feels like not Disney. It feels like a strip mall Italian restaurant. that doesn't do great.
Yeah, it doesn't get it. It misses that mark. Not good. Negative stars. Boo approved. I mean, anytime my kids can get buttered noodles, they're gonna be happy. So
But did your kids want to go there?
no.
Mine neither.
Yeah. I mean, nobody's gonna pick this, but they'll be happy if I take them there because they're gonna get buttered noodles. So is that enough or no?
I don't think so. I think you can get buttered
No.
noodles elsewhere.
Okay. Oh boy. I told you I was worried for Mama Melrose. I was worried for her. Okay, but she does get a star for length and pacing, right? Like there's nothing wrong with
Oh.
the pacing of this meal.
Yes. And in fact, the pacing feels really good. They seem to get you in really, really quickly.
Because nobody else is there.
As I say, they're so happy to have customers. They're like, yes, please come in.
Plenty of plenty of walk up available. You can join the wait list as we speak.
Yeah, yeah, exactly. And then that's going to be Lumiere Extra Spark, and this is absolutely not. There's nothing special, and I think this is our first official D
Ouch.
on a report card for a restaurant, if I remember correctly.
Oh.
Plaza got a D as
Oh.
well. And I wonder if actually, I think Plaza, looking back, Plaza got, a little bit different. But go back and listen to that Magic Kingdom episode to see what the differences were on why you may or may not think the Plaza is agreeable with us.
Yeah, I remember now. Yeah. Well, that feels right to me. These two experiences feel comparable, honestly. They're just okay. They're not that Disney experience I think you really want.
If you need to get out of the heat and you need to put some food in your belly, like a good amount of air conditioned sit down time, walk up.
Then walk on up. Yeah, walk on up.
up.
Exactly. Okay. Hollywood Brown Derby. That is our next restaurant we are going to talk about. This is a great location in Hollywood Studios. Right when you're walking up, main drag there, and you're kind of in that center area and among all of the hustle and bustle. What's your take on it?
I did a Phantasmic Dining package here, which is the most expensive version of the Phantasmic Dining package, but it is delicious food. It is definitely an upscale kind of dining experience. It's not a bunch of kids in there. It's going to be a more mature palate, a more mature group of people in terms of who's going to choose to eat at Hollywood Brown Derby. It's just that vibe.
And you can do like a margarita flight, which is great. I love to have a glass of wine on that outdoor patio, which is great. I'm going to struggle here because of a personal, not great experience, but I also just want to say, I don't think it's a fair representation of everything as a whole. Okay. The menu is really good. This is obviously Hollywood Brown Derby is a real restaurant, right? Out in California. So it is just like a copy paste. We put this here. I like the menu. I think the menu is fine. I think it gets Romy approval for sure. And I'm going to even be as bold as to say it's going to get a Tiana approval as well because it is supposed to be that upscale experience and the food is good. Cobb salad was fantastic. My only issue here is we were there like on a really rainy day, and we also did the Phantasmic Dining package during this experience. And I just want to say it's my recommendation not to do a Phantasmic Dining experience here because it does take 2 dining credits if you're doing the dining plan. And I just don't think that's the best use of your credits if you can get a 1 credit Phantasmic Dining package. So that bothers me. But we were there on a rainy day. And so I really wanted soup and salad. Like I wanted the comfort of a soup with that Cobb salad. And I'm at this really upscale restaurant. This is supposed to be the nicest in Hollywood Studios, by far the most expensive. And when you think about a good restaurant doing a nice chicken noodle soup, and I've talked about this on the show before, I want like a hearty, thick, homemade, thick noodle, big chicken, great soup. And I was cold because I was wet and I was just really looking forward to the soup. And I ordered it and y'all, it was like a can of condensed soup. That's what I
Oh,
like.
no.
It
Oh,
was like
no.
it was like tiny little pieces of chicken, tiny little carrots, and like watered down broth. And like little tiny
Ugh.
circle noodles. It was terrible. Absolutely terrible. Cobb salad was great. Everybody else had a good food experience. I honestly think it was a one and done for us. But I can see giving it, I don't think it deserves to not get Tiana because of that one personal soup experience, but I do think it's important to say it.
Right.
Yeah, everything that I've had food wise has been great here. I haven't tried and really any of the appetizers. They're just not my cup of tea. Crab and shrimp and escargot, and it's just very refined for my want chicken nuggets or chicken tender palate.
Yeah.
But when I did have steak, it was amazing. It was juicy. The bread there is amazing. And they have a sorbet that I get because I have allergies that they tend to be able to find for me pretty much anywhere I need it. That is delightful. But McKenna, as a teenager, loved it. But as a kid, I don't think I would take my kids here.
Yeah. Interesting.
Yeah, so we're kind of rushing through our little categories here, but I say yes for Remy. Amazing menu, really
Mhm.
nice things. Tiana, yes, we've agreed on that. Food is upscale. Like this is the Hollywood Studios nice choice, right?
Yeah.
This
Mhm.
is where you go. It's beautiful, and then we're already kind of going into Boo a little bit too. It's
Mhm.
not for kids. This is gonna not get a Boo approval, but so nice if you're adults here. This is a
Mhm.
great option, but it's different from anything else here in the park.
Yeah.
What about theming? How are you guys feeling
Mm.
about the theme?
I actually think it looks just like the real one. I think it was modeled and created just like that. And that is what the theming is supposed to be. Like it has those old Hollywood autographed photos. Are they autographed or are they just photos? Now I can't remember, but of, actors and actresses. And did you guys ever watch the show I Love Lucy?
Yeah.
Yes.
Is this the restaurant that she goes to when her and Ethel go to Hollywood and they see a really famous actor? Are they at this restaurant?
Huh.
When
Maybe.
they go.
That's funny.
I want to
Maybe.
know that.
That's gonna need some research. I don't know. Yeah, that's funny. Yeah, it might be.
Somebody do a real-time fact check. Because it's modeled after an original and it is what it's supposed to be and it's supposed to be old Hollywood, I don't see how you don't give it Edna. Like that is the point.
Right.
That is the point of it. You know what I mean?
Right.
And so I definitely think it gets it. I don't think it gets boo. My kids were not happy here. They wanted to be loud. I felt like they couldn't. Like they were not happy here.
It says that Lucy finds trouble while having lunch at the Brown Derby restaurant in Hollywood. So you are right, Allie.
Sure.
Yeah. And it kind of like
Who
it
was the
looks
celebrity she met?
It says William Holden and Eve Arden.
Yeah,
Hmm.
I remember. And I used to watch that show all the time with my mom. And the California episodes are great when they do a road trip out there. And yeah, I remember this and it's modeled just after that. So I remember that episode and I do think it looks a lot like what this looks like.
You know what I'm excited for on Brown Derby is I think it also leans into like that jazzy feeling. And at the Jollywood Nights, I think they do a lounge inside of Brown
Mhm.
Derby, which I'm
Yeah.
really excited for. And I think there is also a lounge for Brown Derby, right?
Yeah.
Mhm.
Yeah, you can
Yes.
just sit out and just sitting out on the patio and having a drink is a great time. Absolutely. Okay, what about the pacing?
I'm indifferent on pacing. It was fine. It didn't feel actually. It was a little bit slower, and I think it's intended to be a little slower, actually.
You can even get like a prefix option sometimes, I think. And the Fantastic Dining package, at least when I did it, may have been a prefix. Like you are,
It is.
It
yeah.
was when we did.
Yeah.
It was.
Yeah.
yeah, that I just kind of am remembering that. So yeah, it can be a little longer. And my kids were unhappy. That's what I remember. They didn't want to be sitting there that long, and there wasn't a lot to entertain them, and the food wasn't their favorite, even though it was kid friendly.
Mhm.
I think it's fine if you don't have your kids with you.
So do we get it a half? Does it get a half?
Let's give it a half star.
Maybe. Yeah. Yeah. And you wouldn't want to have like a large group go in there with, a big table. And if you're a small group, adults, I think it's fine, but it probably doesn't deserve more than a half star.
Yeah, and I do not think that it has anything extra.
It definitely does not. It's a nice restaurant.
Yeah,
It doesn't even feel Disney. It feels like a nice restaurant.
3.5 stars. That's going to be what, like a C plus or a B
C
minus?
plus? I would say
We're-
a C plus.
I think it's
Sure.
more a B minus. This is a very nice restaurant. I think it gets into the B, but it's a minus because it misses the mark on a few areas, but I think it's still in the B range. B minus.
I'm fine with that.
Yeah. Okay. All right. I feel good about that. We just have a couple more restaurants here to talk about. And I know food is such a good topic for so many of our listeners. So I hope this is very helpful to all of you. All right, we're going to take a break, but not just any break. I'm going to shoot it over to our new segment, Friend Like Me, where we are going to highlight some of our other Smart Moms travel agent friends who are, in fact, just like us, travel agents trying to help you have a magical vacation to Walt Disney World, offering their own tips and tricks and highlighting all of the reasons why you should be following them. Take a listen. If budget is something that you are heavily focused on when you are planning your Disney vacation, Maybe you're thinking about taking that dream vacation and the budget just doesn't feel like it's there. You should definitely check out our friend Sam at Sam Dreams Disney on Instagram, where she is focusing daily on budget-friendly tips, making the most out of the magic on that budget, and offering up a free guide that highlights budget tips at Disney World. Follow her on Instagram at Sam Dreams Disney and help your budget dreams come true. While you're over on Instagram, I want you to check out our friend Leah. Her handle is at Booking Magic, and she is really focused all the time on personalized tips, tricks, and itineraries. Every family has different needs, different wants when they are looking at their trip. And Leah really takes the time to look at different special events, character interactions, dining experiences, and with her expertise and knowledge, brings the best recommendations that are personalized and tailored to each family's needs. You can follow her for stress-free planning tips at Booking Magic on Instagram or in today's show notes. Okay, we are back. Just a quick review. We've done 50s Primetime Cafe, Hollywood and Vine, Mama Melrose, and the Hollywood Brown Derby restaurant. That's going to bring us straight to Roundup Rodeo Barbecue. This is the newest restaurant. I feel like it's not often we get a new sit-down restaurant, so I thought it was really exciting when we got this one. Stacy, I know you have done it maybe the most recently of any of us. And what do you think?
Love this place. Whenever I have a client requesting it, I just get excited because I want to talk about it. I'm like, oh, you're going to love it. You're going to love it. It's so fun. And I also warn, do not eat anything before you go. It is so much food. This is the most filling restaurant I can think of on Disney property. There is no place I can think of that you eat more than you eat here. And it's such a meat lover's delight. Now, when it says it's a barbecue, you better be a meat eater because you can go as a vegetarian. If you are in a group of meat eaters and you're a vegetarian, there are options for you.
Mm.
But for meat lovers, this is your spot. This is your mecca. This is where you go.
Mm-hmm.
The menu, this is a tough one for rating in this area because it feels very much like meat is the only thing on the menu. But it's a family style dinner. So they bring you a lot of things to choose from, but I don't know. Tell me how y'all feel on this. My instant thought on it is it's not a very big variety. Unless it's meat. I mean, it's lots of varieties of meat.
I'm going to disagree because I
Okay.
think those sides that they have are amazing.
They
My kids went through that watermelon salad. They give you a whole, and oh my gosh, my mouth is literally watering thinking about those cheddar biscuits that you get at the beginning.
So good.
I could just please bring me an entire plate of cheddar biscuits.
So good.
Aren't there like tater tots? I think I
Yes.
remember. Wasn't there
Delicious.
mac and cheese? Was there mac and
Yes.
cheese, corn on the cob, baked beans?
Yes.
I actually feel like I'm not a big meat eater anyway. I don't really love barbecue. So I feel like I completely filled up on the sides
Okay.
and the dessert. The sides and the dessert made my meal and I loved it. I loved this restaurant.
Okay. Good.
Yeah. Okay, so you like the menu and you like how it tastes.
I love both. I think both of them. It's so good. I want
It
to go
is
back so
good.
bad.
So good.
Yeah, I was about to say, how do you think it stacks up to other barbecues on property? Like if you're looking at Flame Tree and Regal Eagle and Roundup Rodeo, is it 1, 2, or 3?
Well, it's different, I think. Like it has a different feel from either of those. Like, I don't know. It's the barbecue here feels and we're jumping to theme here. Like the theme of it makes
ahead,
it
yeah.
so Toy Story themed that it doesn't feel like a regular barbecue in that kind of
Like a backyard barbecue.
right.
Like the
It
toys
has-
are backyard.
exactly. It's a different kind of feel to it. So it's hard to even I didn't instantly connect a comparison, right? Like it wasn't like
Yeah. Mhm.
I was comparing it to Regal Eagle.
Yeah. And the big pencil, like even just a big pencil to like sign your check.
Yeah, it's just so fun. It's so childlike. It's so
Mhm.
great. It's just so great.
Yeah.
And I do not think of it in comparison to Regal Eagle at all, even though I guess I could critically think through some of that and compare it. I think I would go
Mhm.
that I would rank Rodeo higher. It's
Yeah.
it's just
That's
so
an
good.
experience for sure.
Yeah, it's so
Mhm.
fun.
Yeah, I agree. And it's a sit down, whereas the other ones I mentioned are quick service. And so it gives it a little bit of that edge as well.
And the theming, given that they didn't pull characters into this is not a character mill. And I understand why they didn't. They have Woody and Buzz and like they have them out meeting characters in the land, so I don't know that they could be in both places because they're so close together. But could you imagine like meeting Woody outside and then having Woody come meet you again sitting at your table inside of there? I think that that would be odd. I think they still pull the whole story of Toy Story into the theme of the restaurant so well. I just
Oh,
want
yeah.
to like walk around with my camera and film it all because it's amazing.
Yeah.
Yes.
Yeah, I think absolutely to all of that. Because it's all you care to enjoy, I think the Cinderella, the pacing is really good.
Mhm.
Yep.
You know, anytime the food just comes, and you don't have to sit and order, wait and put, I think that's
It
great.
feels so fast paced.
Yeah, I feel really
Yeah.
comfortable giving it that.
Yeah. So fast paced. Without feeling rushed, though. It does not feel rushed, but it definitely feels fast paced.
And what about boo approval for your kids? Are they going to be happy here?
Oh, yeah.
Oh, yes. They absolutely are going to have a good time here.
Yeah, they're going to feel like a toy.
Even like go to the bathrooms. Yeah, like there's bathrooms inside this restaurant. Go check them out. Like it is so well themed. Your kids are going to be happy. Your like child heart is going to be happy.
Yep.
It's awesome.
Okay, cool.
At least for us millennials.
I agree. And then that brings us to the last thing, and that's going to be Lumiere, the extra spark. I got to tell you, I wish this was a character meal. Obviously, with Buzz, Woody, and Jesse already out in the park, they can't come into the restaurant. That's too complicated for them and for the guests. But I don't know. What about Bo and Lotso being in there? Why can't we pull in somebody that's not out in the park? And I think it can't get Lumiere because I think it should have done that.
I wish that they would have. I wish they would have pulled in the non-other main characters. That would have been really cool.
Give me an army guy and Bo Peep and I'll be happy. There's so many characters in Toy Story and so many are iconic. And I just think maybe missed opportunity there.
Or even like a Lotso meet and greet on your way out, kind of like you could meet with the Beast and other ones and have it smell like strawberries. Oh, I'm so excited.
And it's not even
Okay,
real.
I'm gonna be the arguer on this one. I feel like it is such a busy experience that characters would be too much. I feel like if they had done it, they would need to knock down some of the other things that they're really doing in there. It's so busy. It's so active. It's so much going on. I feel like characters might take it a little bit too far. They would have to pull back some other areas. I also feel like that with them not having characters was a choice so that they can have more seating. They fit a lot of people in there that I think they would have to remove some tables and so that's where it's a benefit. You do need to work at getting a reservation on it sometimes. It is very, very, very popular, but it does seat a lot of people. So, and I would say for Lumiere, I almost think the way it is so guest involved, you are so involved with your entire meal, having a good time. There's things to keep you in theming the entire experience. I could argue that it is Lumiere.
Stacy, you are bringing up something that I had totally forgotten about, which is the entire restaurant coming together around a moment.
I love that.
Where else is that happening on Disney property?
Right.
I don't think anywhere. It is so fun.
Yeah.
So you think it's an A+?
Kind of do,
I
honestly.
think it might be. I think it might be.
Yeah. I love this place.
Okay. I'm going to, you know what? I'm going to yield to y'all and I'm going to let you call that shot.
All right.
I'm going to give it. So that's going to be an A+. That's going to be our highest. And I think that feels fair. And that's going to bring us to our very last restaurant to discuss. That is the Sci-Fi Dine-In, the drive-in theater type restaurant at Hollywood Studios. There are tables that are in old cars, big sci-fi films playing all around the restaurant. In theory, very cool experience. Talk to me about this menu. Becki, I feel like you have a lot of opinions on this.
I do have a lot of opinions on this. Remember you were talking about how your dad used to get reservations before online was an option.
Mm-hmm.
Our very first trip to Disney World was having to call in at I was in Utah, so it was even earlier than it is for people here on the East Coast, but calling in and my two things that I knew that I needed to call like right when it opened was Cinderella's Royal Table and I wanted to eat at Sci-Fi Dine-In because it's such a cool concept. But the menu is interesting. It's like if I was to tell you Sci-Fi Dine-In, what kind of food do you think you're getting?
Burgers.
Movie themed.
That's right. Like but maybe because I've been there. Yeah.
Movie theme, right? What you're gonna get. But when we went there, you definitely get burgers, but then I got pasta, which felt very odd at a drive-in. I got my daughter got a chicken dish that just felt kind of formal for a drive-in. They definitely have burgers. The variety's good. I just it feels odd to me, and it was cool for an experience, but it did not live up to everything that I wanted it to be.
Yeah, I agree.
Yeah. Yeah. I think we can give it Remy for this menu as far as it does have variety. I don't know that we should necessarily take away from its lack of handheld food here. Like it seems like you should have handheld food at a drive-in, but we can keep going to continue some of what you have already led into for sure.
Yeah, so do you think that because you got those things, you like the menu, or do you think it's too odd and not making sense enough to get the menu?
Well, there are burgers. They do have burgers. But like, where's the
And
chicken
chicken wings.
strips?
They have chicken wings, which that kind of
Yeah.
feels, that feels okay. I think it's okay. I think it's okay to
Uh,
give it Remy. I do.
yeah, okay. All right. Well, I don't think the food is very good once you order. That's gonna be my hot take.
Yeah.
I think this is really just
Yeah.
okay, mediocre food.
Yep.
It's like you got it at a drive-in theater. So if they're
Yes.
trying to they're trying to pull in the theming, they nailed it because I don't think it's very good. Burger's fine. I just keep going back to the burger because I think that's all I'd order there.
Yeah.
A drive-in movie trying to do pasta, like
Like why?
that's about what you're getting.
Yeah.
Yes, but why?
I do think it's one of the cooler restaurants on property, so I want to give it Edna.
100.
I want to give it theming. I love that it's in the drive-in, in the cars with the theaters. Like I really like that. So I want to give it Edna's. And I don't think it feels like it's too long of a meal. Like I feel like they really rotate through.
Yeah.
And so I'm inclined to also give it Cinderella. What do you think?
I'm good on the pacing is great. The theming is amazing for what it is. I think when you walk away, what you will remember is eating in a car with a big screen playing old movies on the front. But the theming is also kind of a drawback for some people because it is dark. And if you struggle with eating in the dark, it is dark. And those movies completely turn my kids off because they're old, like horror movies. And I think there's one that has like a big spider or something, and it just completely killed Lakers' vibe.
Yeah, they're kind of creepy.
Yeah.
Yeah, they're a
It's
little
weird.
creepy. And also just in also conversation, a piece of that for the theming is that the cars, you can only sit a few people across, like when you're sitting in the car. So if you're there with your family, you're not like all sitting around the table. You're sitting side by side if you're in a car table,
Yeah.
and that
Some.
is different. Yeah,
Mhm.
some of
Yeah.
them. Yeah, yeah, yeah.
Yeah, with the Boo approval, like I think some kids think this is so cool. I think there is an age range where they're like, "Oh my gosh, we're sitting in a car, ha ha ha," and they think that's cool. But as far as the practicality of having children and needing to reach across to help cut their food or, attend to them, you're sitting side by side. Nobody's facing each other. It's a front seat, back seat kind of situation. The car, the high chair thing it's a little bit of a hassle. We naturally think of Boo approval as being like, are your kids going to like it? And there are going to be some kids who think this is really, really fun. As a Boo approval, as far as like, as you as a parent having children in there, it's not great.
Yeah. There are a couple tables that are like full-size tables that you can sit
Yes.
across from each other that kind of like a stretch limo kind of idea.
Yeah.
And you're sitting across from each other. But for the most part, you're sitting just like you're saying, like in rows like a car. Mom and
Mhm.
dad are in the front, and then the kids are in the next row, and then the next row. And there are also tables out on the side. I don't know if either of you ever done this that are kind of like picnic tables that have like an umbrella above them kind of idea. I think those are
Yeah.
reserved for walk-up though. Is that true?
Yeah, I don't know about that, but also those aren't ideal in my
Yeah.
opinion. Like if you're
Right.
going to this restaurant, you want to be in a car.
Right.
And if you want to sit across from each other, you can't guarantee you're going to be in one of those cars. And
Right.
so do you think because of that setup, it loses the Boo approval?
Yes.
Or do you think eating in cars is
I don't know. It's a toss up here.
eating in cars has to give it a point somewhere. So they either get a star for the cars for Boo or for Lumiere. So Stacy,
Well, is
I'll
the
let you pick.
cars? I think the cars goes with theming. I think the sitting in cars goes with your
Oh,
theming. So you get the point there.
okay, that's fair.
I don't
That's
know.
fair.
Yeah.
That's fair. I don't necessarily think it has to be given a star for the cars in more than one spot. And it is part of the theming. So
Yeah.
that is
Mhm.
fair. Okay. So no Boo, no Lumiere. It's getting 3 stars. Are we feeling good about that? A C?
Yeah, I am.
I think that feels right. So, okay then, that feels right. That's going to do it for all of these grades. Let's review here and let's see if we need to make any modifications or if we feel really good about it. I'm actually looking at this. I feel pretty good about it. So we did 50's Primetime Cafe and it got 5 stars for Remy, Tiana, Edna, Boo, and Lumiere, giving it an overall A. Hollywood and Vine got 3 stars for Remy, Boo, and Cinderella, giving it a C. Mama Melrose got a Remy and a Cinderella star, 2 stars, landing it at a D. Hollywood Brown Derby, Remy, Tiana, Edna, half of Cinderella, we'll call it Cindy, giving it a B minus. Roundup Rodeo, all of them, 6 stars. Remy, Tiana, Edna, Cinderella, Boo, Lumiere. The 2 of you went on and on. You clearly love this one. I'm a little indifferent, but feel comfortable and confident giving it that A+ for how happy it makes y'all. And I think our listeners will enjoy it as well. And Sci-Fi Dine-In, 3 stars. Remy, Edna, Cinderella, a C. Lots of C and D dining here at Hollywood Studios. And I think that's accurate. I think this report card really reflects the truth of Hollywood Studios dining. The sit-down experiences are good on theming. For the most part, food is a little subpar, and a lot of these restaurants just miss the mark and they feel half-baked in their idea. So I feel really good about our report card. If you're listening today and you're planning your dining out and we helped form an opinion or helped you decide where you're going to go that maybe you weren't considering, we want to hear about that. Let us know what you think. And if you liked this episode and you feel like, oh, I just wish I had a visual to like see everything that they said, well, hey, maybe joining our Patreon community might be the perfect thing for you. When you become a Diamond Mind member, you are going to get a monthly planning guide that is a companion to one of our episodes from that month. So you can take our verbal conversation that you've been listening to and see it in a beautiful guide that's really going to just break it down and give you something to go back and reference. It's a great resource for you as you're planning your trip. Head to the show notes, click the link, join our Patreon, become a Diamond Mind member, and get the most value out of our episodes that you possibly can for your planning. If you're really loving our content and these episodes and you want to help us continue to be able to do this for you, leave us a 5-star review. Recently, BL Finnegan 13 wrote, "You ladies are so much fun to listen to, and the information I've learned is super helpful and relevant to bringing a family to Disney and having the best time. You have given me the push to look into joining you as a Smart Moms travel agent." That is a thing. If you want to be a Smart Moms travel agent, you can reach out to us. Let us know if you want to join us. We'd love to have you. And that's a thing you can actually do. It's so fun. So we look forward to seeing you in our Patreon, in our social media communities, and maybe reading your review on the next episode. I'm glad that we gave all of these grades today, and I'm really glad that we can be so transparent in the way that we are conveying these, and we don't have to pretend to like something if we don't. It's all laid out for us in a grade. And for any Smart Moms travel agents listening today, the hidden Mickey will be pretend. That's going to do it for us on this episode of the Smart Moms Plan Disney podcast. And until next time, we'll see you real soon. I can't look at you cracking up on the other side. No, come back. I need to see you. I need real-time reactions or I'm not good. Have you been dreaming of...